told you he was gonna foot sweep me too. I was like, I'm about to get so foot swept. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Fix My Game, brought to you by Kingz Kimonos. I'm here with none other than PJ Barch, the Butter Panther here at 10th Planet South Bay, and he's gonna help me fix my game. I'm awake now.
Shut the plane cobwebs off.
Okay, we're trained, that's right. Foot sweep me too. I was like, I'm about to get so foot swept.
so I think like, depending on where we're at and stuff like that, you do a good job of getting to my hands first and making some sort of connection there. But I think that there's sometimes, whether you're on your feet or you're playing guard, which is the two spots that we just kind of played the most, is I don't think you're paying as much attention to what you're doing with your feet all the time, you know? And so like when we were wrestling, for instance, you're doing a good job of getting to my hands first, which is like the first thing in your way, right? And kind of drag and things like that. But your stance is like very particularly wide, and you're, you know, so every time I saw like a lot of availability, whether it was here or here on this leg, because you're very split and you're very wide. Okay. So like taking some time to like fundamentally get yourself into a better stance, keep your elbows a little closer to your body, fix your posture up a little bit. All of these things would help you a lot, because before you start like sending arm drags, taking shots and doing all this stuff, you have to cover your bases with what your stance looks like. You know what I mean? So like, I know you're probably just wrestling with me to like kind of have a bit of fun and get some content and stuff like that. But if you do want to get your wrestling a little better, I would focus on like keeping my like a good distance with my feet, good bend at the knees, good hip hinge, keep my posture up, keep my elbows close to my body, things in these positions, and being able to just kind of move my feet just a few inches at a time in unison, instead of crossing and making big steps where we're kind of here and such, right? Because you're taking such big steps here. Right. This one was wide open for things, right? And then I would say it was like kind of similar with your guard, where you're doing a job of attaching yourself to me and then pulling me into your guard, but really you're just pulling me into like a knee shield. Right. You know what I mean? And I think like I'm pretty prepared for that. Like your guard was cycling. Your guard was cycling like somewhere between like a knee shield and maybe a butterfly or something like that, right. Which I'm pretty prepared for. You know what I mean? And I think like right away I was like picking you up a lot. Right, I felt that. Setting you into these positions, and you try to keep your knees tight a lot here. You know what I mean? And so it was making it really easy for me to work around these things or come back into them and get to like headquarters and tripoding here and things like that. And so like, if you're gonna connect to me, which I think you're doing a good job of doing, then you have to think about where you wanna connect your feet next, I think. And maybe not a Z-guard is where you wanna connect first. Right. You know what I mean? Maybe it's, if you're supine, I think like a more open guard stance is a bit better. Like if you're, can I go down? Yep. So if I'm playing like, I think maybe like a supine and pulling you into something, here I cannot like, so I have like this offset, the soles of my feet are facing you. Yep. You know what I mean? And I'm in an open guard situation. I can pull you more into like a either like a K, a De La Hiva, right? I can work myself maybe into a reverse De La Hiva, or you could push me into a reverse De La Hiva, and then I'm here and working, right? But here, if I pull you right into a split squat, how are you off balancing me? Right. You know what I mean? Like you can't off balance me, so right away, I'm gonna start my offensive cycle on top. You know what I mean? But if you pull me into a position where you can start to off balance me and get my hands to the mat, right. Now I'm not on an offensive cycle on top. I'm gonna be the one kind of defending whatever's coming at me and stuff. You know what I mean? So pulling yourself to Z, right. Or butterfly, things like that, like I think are a little bit behind a little bit, as opposed to like pulling yourself into maybe like an open guard. I think this is a good spot to start, right? Because we can cycle between K, De La Hiva, reverse De La Hiva, and then like last resort, right. We're in that split squat Z-guard position. You know what I mean? Okay, yeah, I think I was trying to get to the De La Hiva, but I was feeling the pressure and then almost probably panicking out to start to throw the shield up. Mm-hmm. Do you have any tips for how to better commit when someone's applying a lot of pressure? Well, I think that it's tough to, like, that's the point, is like create a bit more wedge. You know what I mean? I think like reverse De La Hiva, if I'm, go down for me. I think that like if you're trying to pull yourself in reverse De La Hiva, I'm just killing all those. Yeah. As I come in, by controlling the ankles. And then we're in a split squat position. But had you like kind of, instead of shooting your feet and separating your knees from your shoulders here and stuff like that, bring your knees up towards your shoulders more. Maybe like a self frame here. Plant your feet to like face me. You follow me like this? Yeah. And don't extend through this as much, you know what I mean? And now just in general, like me entering this is a little bit more like, what am I pressing into? Right. You know what I mean? Like, what am I pressing into? And if this one reaches my hip, for instance, like this, what am I really like, I have to stuff this. Right. Now, once I stuff this, maybe that's when like you're trying to hook my hamstring this side, go to your reverse De La Hiva here, and off balance me as I stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
So I need something to run into. And that's what I'm trying to like, as you hand fight with me and pull me in, I'm trying to stifle your feet first.
Right.
You know what I mean? In some kind of way. And start my offensive cycle, right? But if you can keep these drawn towards your shoulders and maybe not commit yourself so easily to like pulling me into half guard here,
Right.
you know what I mean? Where I'm starting to work already.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So I think I was like kind of beating you there quite a few times.
Do you mind just going into some of the details about the passing that you were so successful with?
Yeah. Like, you know, there was I was doing a lot of leg dragging and a lot of like bringing your feet together. Like, cause like I said, like you were trying to keep your knees pinched to keep that half guard. So as I was going like this.
Right.
And so it was like kind of making it easy for me to get like some way or another to the outside of them, right? But as much as I do all these other things and find all these other passing positions, the most that I pass from is tending to be like a headquarters with like a tripod and a head pin right here, right? And I think like, man, I did this one as far back as my like BJJ Fanatics DVD in like 2019 or something like that, you know, and I don't know, like, it's okay if you guys want to buy it, but it's, you know, like I would probably buy Gordon or Joseph's stuff now. It's a little more up to date, you know what I mean? But, and to be honest, I took that from Gordon too, kind of, because I remember Gordon taught from like a shin to shin a while back to like, when people go shin to shin and start rocking back, to plant your hands to the mat and kick yourself in this position and find an underhook and post your head. And so ever since Gordon showed that one, I just started playing with that position a lot. And with you, like, it would sometimes turn into a double butterfly position. If I wasn't like super keen to pass right away and stuff like that, then like a butterfly would come in and then I'd be passing more like a two butterfly high tripod situation and things like that. But like for instance with Mika at ADCC, I was in that same position where I caught the underhook and got my head post here, and I pretty instantly like took him to quarter guard here. And then after I get the quarter guard and he's kind of like, you know, clamped on my ankle here, and then I'll come in and start digging for this near side underhook, because 2 is always better than 1. And then I'd find some sort of way to pass to mount here, because mount's always better than side control, right? And so like I'm realistically looking for like, that would be like probably the go-to spot, you know, but there's a lot of things that can happen in between and a lot of ways that we can pass. Like I think sometimes I get people so pinned here and I walk my head so close to this direction that when I keep my knee on this side, I can get to a position where I can shove their arm, and I got you here once or twice, you know what I mean? And then I'm starting to think about setting through back takes. And I think I was so deep on you the one time, that's when I went for this kind of like head and arm strangle right there. So I like that tripoding position, you know what I mean? I've been playing with it for a long time. Joseph seemed to really like innovate on it with the 2 butterflies and stuff like that, and just based on like me body lock passing before and doing this tripoding before, it's kind of made sense for me to play around with it a little bit too, but I mostly like it from that headquarters position right there a lot. One of the easier ways is like if I'm here, this is like kind of my primary framing hand here, right? And so, and especially when they're connected to the ankle in some kind of way, like connected to the ankle or like grabbing at your knee or something like that, now it's like pretty clear for like an underhook on this side, right? But the only problem is like crashing past all these things, right? And so you have to be able to crash. Now, so the first thing I would do is I would start planting my hand to the mat on the inside of this, right? And so like it's kind of hidden here, you know, and it's not quite like you're not cupping it per se, you're just kind of hidden with it. And then I would start like taking this hand and pinning to my chest here. So boom, here. And so now you can kind of maybe change the angle of your body to get around my knee. So like I think keep that inside and maybe just kind of like change the angle of your body this way, boom, get your forehead to the mat, like right up next to my ear here. Okay. Now start walking your hand to your forehead and walk your forehead towards your hand here. Yeah, kind of close this off. Now just keep a really good staple here. And now you're in like a pretty like keen spot to just kind of either like, you know, sometimes I fish for the other underhook, whatever, or just like make some sort of a play to get your knee to the other side of my body while keeping your hip close to your knee. So like if you chop over, boom, here, yeah, just don't let me get this in, because that would be like the biggest
have to clear here.
mistake people make. Yeah, and then eventually you probably have to clear that quarter guard, right? But I think like sometimes people make the mistake of like trying to jump over to that side too quickly, and the knee follows. So like if you jump over to knee cut on me, boom, and I follow with that knee, and I can move you off of me and stuff like that. And so if you do make a big movement like that, your hips have to come high and then drop very quickly to the other side, right?
So what would be the best way to clear the knee through without catching the ankle so badly?
Oh, you know, I'm not as concerned with that, man. I think like it's probably pretty bound to happen. We're gonna like, and that's why like when I get to the other side, it's a good chance that like, yeah, go ahead, get over there. And I do trap this ankle because I'm not too worried about knee cutting straight through. You know what I mean? Like I actually prefer to hang here for a sec because if you just keep slicing through this position, sometimes I go with it and find some sort of way to frame against you and stuff like that or whatever. So just kind of like cook here for a sec. Okay, I'll stay pinched on this. Now dig for this underhook on this side. Boom. Now walk your hands close together and get my elbows away from my shoulders. Okay, now so I'm so freaking pinned here and all I have is this pinch that's not even really facing you, right? Now just put your instep in between my legs there or kick out, yeah, that's fine. Or I prefer to go to like mount from here, man. So if you just
Cross back through?
Yeah, put your other foot in first, like we call it like a vegan mount, I've heard it called. So put the foot inside so both your feet are doing the same thing. There you go. Now just drop your knees on each side.
Into like a butter mount?
Yeah, exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
So you're giving the foot back.
Yeah, the other foot you're feeding in. Boom.
So that you can come into a butterfly.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's hard for me to do anything with two underhooks stuffed up so high. So yeah, that's one of my favorite spots to get to, and it's like pretty fundamental. You know, it's like it's not too difficult to figure out.
He almost looks like he's not going to tap no matter what. Now he countered it. PJ Barch with the counter submission.
So I'm still working on my leg locks a lot. I don't play them super often, but you're very well known for your counter leg locks. We saw you take home the bronze medal ADCC in your match against Elijah Dorsey. Do you mind breaking down that kind of transaction for us?
For sure. This is like kind of, it's a funny one because this is like, I got this from Juni Acosta, I think his name is, in New York. Ocasio, yeah. He calls it the Juni lock, and to be honest, I never saw an instructional or like even an instructing video on the thing, but I saw it briefly, and so I don't know exactly how he prefers to finish this and things like that. But I know that like during the ADCC camp, just to kind of like troll my friends, I was playing around with it a lot, and it's still just like to me like kind of a troll move a little bit, but it works pretty well in certain situations, right? So when he's like fed inside right here, and he's on this outside heel hook, anytime my leg's on the outside, like I have, or maybe he doesn't even have it, but either way, I'm gonna go through like my typical strain of defenses, right? And so like when Elijah was here, for instance, I could tell that I could turn my knee this direction. You know what I mean? So as soon as I can turn my knee this direction, I feel very safe in this position, right? If he was able to like wedge himself up against this more, I would feel in a lot more danger here. You know what I mean? And then I'd be like circling to clear and doing things so that this can now turn my knee again. You know what I mean? And so like in that match, I was already up on points, and Elijah was kind of holding on to this, kind of sending in a little bit, but I could tell that like there was a lot of play still because my knee could bend. And you know, I could have waited out the match, but once we had kind of got to this spot where I got both of my legs on this side and got him split, in the gym I tend to roll forward, and I'm not sure if this is what Juni does with it or not, but like I tend to like capture this Achilles right here and start passing the toes to my armpit as I roll under, because it allows me like to really catch an angle on this as I roll, and then a lot of times I catch it at the end of this. So his hips kind of trapped a little bit with this, and I just have this really like beefy inside heel hook that I can take, right? And I did this at PGF in this way once, you know, but I think even at PGF maybe my foot had slid out and I was just kind of holding on to it a little bit. But with Elijah, for instance,
here, let's spin around this way.
Yeah. With it being like at ADCC and stuff, I didn't want to take any risks of rolling under him, and so like when I had gotten to this position, I had just taken and I had a full grip from right here, and it was kind of like I said, it was pretty unexpected for him, I think, and we were both a little tired at that point. So like me, like being able to get this grip, I didn't see the need to necessarily roll under, and so I just started to take it this way to that same ending point where I still have the hip trapped a little bit, and I just kind of can sit on it and rotate through. So a lot of people like don't quite understand, because they say, oh well, there's no connection to the hip, but like it's the fact that my leg is fed into your hip, that the hip is kind of trapped through that movement. You know what I mean? And whether you have the outside heel hook or not, like this is a pretty robust like inside heel hook grip that's gonna do some damage. You know what I mean? And the only way it can kind of clear is if like this one gets knocked over, right? And you can move your hips out of this position in some kind of way that kind of frees up your.
Right.
Just 30 seconds.
PJ just looking like he's not really in danger at all.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not gonna, it almost looks like he's not gonna tap no matter what. Now he's got he countered it.
PJ Barch with the counter submission submits Elijah Dorsey.
To each his own, I think, you know, like I think that I've seen people actually like do this and feed it through this way to this full grip and stuff like that. I've always felt pretty good at just about like kind of being able to, as long as I have a decent grip here, I'm trying to go like as deep as I can usually, but like a lot of times it just winds up here. You know, I think anything from like a gable is just getting tighter as you go this way and attach it to your body more. You know what I mean? And then they have all these reverse grips and stuff, but I don't tend to think they're necessary for inside heel hooks, but maybe outside heel hooks and straight ankle locks and stuff for sure.
The one thing that you left out about that transaction was the smile that you gave your corner right before you let it rip. What was that moment? Like, when did you realize he doesn't know that I'm gonna get this?
That was just like me like thinking in the gym of how much like I just trolled people from that like,
right.
in the gym all the time. You know, like I think I have like a full, because I filmed all my rounds in my camp, you know, to like rewatch and stuff, and I probably have a full highlight reel of me just like doing this on people, like feeding my leg to them all the time and letting them go for heel hooks and things like that, and then just sending this when it's time to go. So I think that like I looked up, I realized like I was winning, that it was short time, and that I wasn't gonna have to go to overtime. So I was like pretty grateful for that, and that like whatever happens from here, you know, like if I get a submission, like cool, but whatever.
Thanks everybody for tuning in to Fix My Game, brought to you by Kingz Kimonos. Here, live and direct from 10th Planet South Bay with PJ Barch. PJ, where can everybody find you?
Yeah, guys, I'm here in San Diego at 10th Planet at my academy, 10th Planet South Bay. You guys can come down and check us out. I'm on Instagram at pbarch10p, and yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for coming in.